Hi there, this is Pam Moore, aka Pam Marketing Net out on Twitter. I hope that you are doing great today. What happens when you think about pulling together a social media strategy? Most people think of Facebook or they think of Twitter, okay? How many people do you think of their audience? Smart marketers will, but there are most marketers, the first thing that they think of is Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or Instagram, whatever is on their mind, okay? I want to turn that model upside down for this conversation today. And the first thing I want you to think about is your audience. And we leverage what we call the POST methodology from Forrester Research. There's a book called Groundswell that you can pick up, but it is basically we start with the people, the objectives, the strategy, and the tactics or technology. And most people start with the T, okay? We start with the P. You need to be starting with the P, which is the people and the objectives. And so as we go through this conversation today, we are going to put a huge focus on people and audience. And I want you to always be thinking about your audience and what are their objectives, okay? So let's go ahead and let's get started. Content is not something that is new because of social media, but it has taken on a new role with social media because really at the end of the day, social is all about a conversation, okay? And we get brands big and small that come to us all the time and say, Pam, help me out. I am spending a ton of time on the social networks and I'm creating content, I'm writing blog posts, I am posting status updates, I'm creating images, I'm doing everything I can trying to be relevant with my audience, but I'm just not simply seeing the return. So today we're going to talk about how you can drive a better return by connecting with your audience. And I'm going to give you 10 things that you must know about your audience. All right. So one of the first things you need to know is that when you are creating and nurturing communities, all right, you are not going to monetize those communities overnight. There are two things that usually stop you from success, and that is going to be lack of planning and being impatient, okay? Success in business, leveraging and integrating social media requires both planning and it requires patience. If you have followed me for any amount of time, you know that I talk about communities creating markets. And I have an image that is a sideways funnel. So imagine it a triangle that has one fat end and one small end, okay? And when you were first investing in your communities and you were launching your Facebook page, you were launching your Twitter profile, you're building your Instagram community, you're investing in those human beings, you are in what we call the opportunity zone. And you have an opportunity to nurture relationships and to turn those relationships into something that's going to bring meaning and value and benefit to both parties. It is that community and opportunity zone that is going to lead you to what we call the customer zone, where you can begin to harvest those relationships both personally and professionally. And we're not talking just with dollar signs. We're talking with having meaningful relationships. And it is through that sideways funnel that we talk about where you are going to be creating call to action. You are going to be inspiring your audiences to connect further with you. And as we go through this conversation today, I want you to really think about it from the head of your customer. When we talk about conversion funnels in a marketing role, it's very different than how your audience is thinking about conversion funnels. They're not thinking, okay, I've joined this Facebook page. Now, what am I going to click on next? I want to make sure I get that next call to action so that this brand can monetize me. Okay, that's not what they're thinking about. And if they start to feel that that's what you're doing to them, they're probably going to be out of there. So you need to understand your audience and understand what it's going to take to inspire them to move through your conversion funnel, which is really about building a relationship more than it is about selling them. Okay, you want to build relationships with human beings. So let's talk about the top 10 things that you need to know about your audience. Okay, number one is who are they? Who is your audience? And I don't want you to say, I'm targeting everybody in Florida who is between the ages of 25 and 65 and has a job. Okay, that doesn't make it. I want to know, who are they? How old are they? Where do they live? What's their education? What are they doing for work? Where do they hang out online, offline? Who do they talk to? Which of your competitors are they talking to? What do they want from you? What do they need? All of this stuff you need to know. Who are they? What do they do for fun? What do they do for not fun? What do they wish that they didn't do? Okay, you need to get in their head and know as much as you can about them. Number two, what are their pain points? What problems do they have, and what keeps them up at night? Do they have a problem with efficiency? Are they worried about the long-term sustainability of their business? Are they lacking education or needed resources and able to implement the things that they need? Are they lacking technology? What are those pain points? And then how are they going to mitigate those pain points? What are the options that they have to mitigate those pain points? Number three is, what does your product or service do to mitigate those pain points? How are you going to help your customer get a better night's sleep, that ideal customer? And what are you going to do to help them minimize that pain point? How are you going to help them mitigate risk? How are you going to help them better sustain their business, better serve their customers, increase that return on investment for those assets and those services for which they are investing in? How can you better inspire them to better serve their audiences? Okay, this is this whole cyclical circle thing that the more you give, the more you're going to be able to help your audience, and the more it's going to also come back to you. Number four is, how can your product or service inspire them and help them personally and professionally? And this is really important for both B2B and B2C, business to business and business to consumer, because social is really about people to people. Okay, it's human beings talking and selling and connecting with other human beings. So how are you going to help that other human being, that person on the other side of your tweet, the person on the other side of your Facebook post, the person reading your blog, the people that are making up this community that you have? How are you going to help them? How can you help them better grow their career? And how can you help them achieve more? Is it peace that they're looking for? If you were offering a consumer type of product or service, are you helping their family? Are you bringing hope to them? Are you helping them with medical things that is going to make them feel better and maybe live a longer life, be healthier? All of those things are going to matter a lot. Number five, how is your product positioned in the market? And this includes positioning with your competitors, positioning with replacement products, and a replacement product may also be not buying a product or service at all. So you really need to know how you are positioned. And it could be that, are you a low or a high value product or service? Are you higher quality? Are you more agile? Where do you sit, on that paradigm of how that consumer, that customer is going to look at you and see you? All right. How much value are they going to place on your offer? Number six, how are you different? And I don't mean sitting in a conference room and saying, okay, here's the top 5 ways that we're differentiated and pulling them out of magic air. I mean, how are you truly differentiated, and how is your customer believing that differentiation? Do they really see that as a differentiation, or do they see that you're just like everybody else? Okay, you want to be truly differentiated for you to be able to stand out in a crowded marketplace, and social is becoming very crowded and very noisy. So how are you going to stand out? How are you going to be better than your competition? And how are you going to provide them something that they are not going to be able to get from everybody else out there? Number 7 is, what is your competition up to? What are they doing? And I don't want you, it's very easy to over-rotate on this one, where you can get too caught up in your competition. And we work with a lot of brands that end up following their competition and almost doing this copycat type of thing. I don't want you to do that. I want you to only really look at your competition in regard to, how are they communicating with your target audience? Are there things that you can learn from that they're doing, good or bad? How are you better than them? That things that you're doing already better than them that maybe you could elevate a little better, enhance that a little bit more. Let your audience know that you're better in those things. And then there may be some things that you can learn from them, but be very careful not to follow them, because what we often see, it's kind of the blind leading the blind. One company doesn't know what they're doing, but then their whole industry ends up following them and doing the same thing. Okay, and that's why we have to go back and look at our audience. We must know what our audience is doing and what their objectives are, and not just what everybody else is doing. We need to keep a focus on our audience. Number 8 is what are the replacement products or services to what you offer. So what other products or services are available that in the marketplace that your ideal customer could go purchase, or maybe it's a do-it-yourself product, or maybe it's a not do it at all. But what are those replacement products, and what happens if they don't buy your product at all? Is it going to affect their life? If you are a luxury brand, the chances that it's probably going to affect their life are very slim. If you are a luxury brand, you're going to have to connect more emotionally, which is what we're going to talk about in a minute. It could be more of a status type of sell. But if they are not buying your product, is it going to impact their business or life? And you're going to need to make sure that you're really strong in understanding what those replacement products are. And this is one area we see many brands really not paying close enough attention to. Number 9 is what is your audience up to, both offline and online. Now, why does offline matter when it comes to online marketing? Because you need to be thinking about integrated marketing. And this year, I'm going to talk to you about this all the time. I want you to say it 3 times. Say integrated, integrated, integrated. It's not just about social. You want to align social media to your business goals where it can have the greatest impact. All right. One way you need to do that is understand what your customer is doing offline. Chances are they don't live online. Even if you do, I bet you that the CEO of your target client does not live on Twitter or Facebook. So you need to know what associations are they a member of? What events are they going to? What trade shows are they going to? Who are they hanging out with online? And what synergies do you have with those other organizations who they have relationships with? How can you bring the two together? How can you go connect with them offline or bring some of those relationships together online and make them work together both offline and online? That's where some real opportunity and power comes in when it comes to social, because not very many brands are doing that right or at all. And then number 10 is what are the emotional reasons for them to buy from you? And I always say, make me laugh, cry, or make me mad, and you're probably going to get a response from me. But, we don't want to be making people mad. But does your audience have a need for belonging? Do they want to be part of something bigger than themselves? Chances are very high that they do. Think of Apple. When Apple first launched the iPod, remember the white headphones, and that everybody was wearing white headphones? And I can remember going to the gym and wearing my white headphones and thinking I was kind of cool. I don't think that elevated my status or anything, but I remember liking those white headphones. Okay, it wasn't because they were super expensive. They actually kind of hurt my ears, but I was part of a bigger community. I was part of something that was bigger than myself. I was part of this Apple community that we were all listening to music on our iPhone, on our big iPod at the time, and not having to carry around the big DVD. Remember that? Or the big CD audio when we were at the gym. So I was part of something. And, Apple's one of those brands that still does very good at building community without really even investing in social a lot. And it's because we're part of something. When we carry around this white phone, we can talk about Apple or Android, and I'm an Android lover too. We have a Samsung, but I'm part of a community when I use these devices. So what is the status, that your audience is seeking? Do they want to elevate that status? Are they looking to become more educated? Are they wanting to increase their position in a market or in an industry? And are they looking to be inspired? And how are you going to inspire them? Okay. I always say inspire, connect, achieve. And basically we need to inspire our audiences to connect with us with the goal of helping them achieve their objectives. When we help our audience achieve their objectives, we then achieve our objectives by default organically. So we can never go wrong by investing in communities and the human beings within them. And the first step is to understand who your human beings are that are within your communities. You must absolutely know your audience. Hope this video gave you some tips. I know it's a lot of information in one short little video, but check out my blog at pammarketingnut.com, and there you will see all sorts of information. I talk about these topics all the time. You can check out our agency at Marketing Nuts. It's The Marketing Nuts with a Z, and we do consulting, we do training, we do workshops. We can come into your location and help you get your arms around this and give you a plan of where to get started. So reach out to us. Best of luck to you. Thank you.